This podcast is made possible by you, the supporters of WPLN and WNXP, Nashville Public Radio.
This is the Nashvillager Podcast. It's August 14th, 2025. On this day in 1948, the state of Idaho ended one of the more unique programs for relocating wild animals who'd become a nuisance in areas that humans had taken over with developments. And honestly, it's so crazy. You might not believe me when I say it, but I swear it's true. Idaho Fish and Wildlife made use of surplus parachutes left over after World War II and airdropped beavers into the backcountry. Now, about a decade ago, our colleagues at Boise State Public Radio did a pretty great story on the program, which you can still find on their website if you want to fact check that this is true. It says that state officials had gotten kind of tired of trapping and relocating the animals one by one. And also, the best part of the state for beavers, called the Chamberlain Basin, was so remote that there weren't any roads. And out west, remote takes on a far different character than here in the southeast. You know, we think we know rural, but let's just say my travels through that part of the country have basically redefined those words for me. In fact, one part of the basin is now known as the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness Area. River of No Return. Anyway, they couldn't just load up a truck with a bunch of beavers in cages and get them to where they wanted the animals to live. And evidently beavers and pack animals like mules do not get along, which counted out that lower tech transportation option. So like I said, the state took surplus parachutes, designed special boxes that would break up on landing, but that were heavy duty enough that the animals couldn't just eat through them on the flight over. And then they dropped them out of a plane. 76 beavers were airdropped into the Chamberlain Basin. They quickly got to work reshaping the area, gnawing down trees and building dams, as beavers do. Their descendants are an important part of the ecosystem still, in one of the nation's largest protected roadless forests. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with some historical context from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. Here in Tennessee, we've got a lot of great natural areas, but you really are never that far from humans. My husband and I like to hike and are trying to get around to most of Tennessee state parks, and honestly, as deep into the wild as it sometimes feels like those hikes take us, it's really rare for us to lose a cell signal. And if we crave a big soda after one of those hikes, we're sure to find something like a gas station within a few miles of any trailhead, which means there's not all that much separating people's homes from the homes of wild animals. Not really. And the more we grow, the more we develop, the more often those animals give up on trying to live entirely in the woods and meadows and try looking for some place to eat or sleep in our yards. Even in the city, Nashville has a good amount of wildlife. They're in the places you might expect, like Warner Parks and Radnor Lake State Park. Can you even call yourself a regular on the Shelby Bottoms Greenway if you haven't seen a deer there? Those are all good-sized expanses without buildings, but even closer by structures, you'll see some quite wild creatures at times. My early morning drive into work takes me past the TSU campus, which is surrounded on three sides by development. But I've lost count of the number of coyotes I've seen out and about through there before sunrise. I've had possums in my backyard, and just a few weeks ago, skunks on the front porch. There are rabbits living in a bramble behind the Nashville Public Radio studios, and wild geese that take over the patio outside our break room some days. Paige Flager had a bat set up residence in her chimney, and I've known other folks have the same happen, but with raccoons. For a while, my parents had regular visits from a fox. And just yesterday, I passed a kind of roadkill that would have been unheard of on this side of the Mississippi when I was a kid. Armadillos have made it to the mid-state, and how. We even, once in a while, sometimes hear of black bear sightings in our part of the state now, too. Earlier this year, we had a great story from one of our partner stations in West Virginia about the resurgence of the bear population and the push to have more people in Appalachia switch to bear-proof trash cans. As cool as it can be to see one of these amazing creatures, it's not so cool when they tear through your trash or eat your perennials. Tennessee doesn't have an utterly remote spot where all these bears and deers and, armadillos can be relocated. There's no animal airdrop in this state's future. The word from the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency is that we mostly need to find ways to coexist with wildlife. If animals do show up on your property in troublesome ways, like a raccoon in your chimney, the laws governing what you can do or where that animal can be moved depend on the specifics, including what species it is. So it's best to call the TWRA as you figure out your plan of attack. But mostly, we just need to understand that this place isn't just for us. Humans are only one kind of animal that calls Tennessee home. In just a few minutes, we join a group of internet sleuths on the trail of a long-lost musician. That's coming up after the newscast.
Tennessee's legislature has passed a record-breaking number of anti-LGBTQ laws. I'm Mariana Baca-Yao, and as WPLN's Power and Equity reporter, I focus not only on how marginalized communities contend with those new laws, but how they come together in spite of them.
I think what gives me hope is that someone like you is covering this. Because if the overwhelming narrative is one of defeat, how can we have hope?
Listen here on 90.3 WPLN News.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. The heavy rainfall early yesterday morning and afternoon is setting the region up for possible flooding. In the Chattanooga area, widespread flash flooding shut down a stretch of interstate for hours yesterday and triggered more than 400 calls for emergency assistance and 35 water rescues. 4 weather-related deaths have been confirmed in that area. The Tennessee Emergency Management Agency is urging residents across the state to be prepared as rainfall continues. Stay alert for ponding water and flooding on roadways. And if you need help due to flooding, contact your local emergency management agency. A small town in rural Tennessee will soon be the site of a privately run ICE detention center. WPLN's Mariana Baca-Yao reports that the town of Mason, Tennessee, narrowly approved the contract on Tuesday.
A 600-bed prison in the town of Mason has sat empty for nearly 4 years, but it will soon be filled with ICE detainees from across the Mid-South. In a contentious town hall meeting, the mayor stressed the economic opportunities for cash-strapped Mason. Resident Civil Miller Watkins said she doesn't see all money as good money.
This particular detention center will be less than 20 minutes from my son's high school. And when he graduates, this is not the job I want him to be able to have.
The detention center will be privately run by CoreCivic, a for-profit prison operator, which is under investigation by the DOJ for dangerous understaffing and safety concerns. Mariana Baca-Yao, WPLN News.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation arrested a Fort Campbell soldier yesterday for alleged sexual exploitation of multiple minor girls. According to a release from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Tennessee, 39-year-old Robert Cecilio has allegedly been using the social media app Snapchat to message girls and get them to send nude photos and videos. Records show more than 8,000 interactions with one of the alleged victims. The release says Cecilio waived his Miranda rights and admitted to sexual misconduct and receiving what he understood to be child pornography. If convicted, he would face at least 15 years in federal prison and up to a $250,000 fine. This week, the Tennessee Supreme Court upheld the referendum that funds Nashville's $3 billion transit plan using a half-cent sales tax. That revenue is already being collected, and Mayor Freddie O'Connell says it's already being spent on transit enhancements. The plan starts with sidewalks in key areas and traffic light synchronization, which requires laying fiber optic cable. Each element is leading to an end goal of high traffic corridors that will use what's known as bus rapid transit.
But it's basically like a train on rubber wheels, and that's kind of the standard we're going to be able to achieve given the overall scope of the program. You won't see that probably for a few more years, but the idea was in year 1, you're going to see changes. In year 2, you'll see changes that build on those year 1 changes.
In 5 years, O'Connell says everyone in Nashville should be sitting at red lights a little less often. O'Connell took questions from listeners on This Is Nashville about traffic lights, sidewalks, bike lanes, and public benches. You can find our Ask the Mayor episode anywhere you listen to podcasts or on WPLN's YouTube channel. And as Nashville moves toward more frequent bus service, the WeGo Transit Agency is on the search for more bus drivers. A hiring event is happening Saturday at the WeGo facility on Myatt Drive in Madison. Interested drivers can apply and register online in advance to reserve an on-site interview. There's information at wegotransit.com. The agency pays to train bus operators to get their commercial driver's license. There's also an accelerated training for those who already have that, as well as signing bonuses. Local governments have been getting payouts from companies accused of contributing to America's opioid crisis, like drug makers and pharmacies. Because the money comes from legal settlements, the rules on how governments can spend it are hazy. Across the country, including in Tennessee, there's been some controversy over funding priorities, like putting more money into law enforcement instead of treatment. Some states have tried to keep local governments in line. In Kentucky, localities are being dinged for not detailing their spending. But Morgan Watkins with the Kentucky Center for Investigative Reporting says a new approach may fix that.
KYCIR reported last fall that most cities and counties fell short of the state's old requirements, which said to file annual and quarterly forms about their settlement funding. From now on, the state's Opioid Commission wants local governments to provide detailed spending reports once a year. Morgan Patterson with the Kentucky League of Cities says the new online reporting process is easier to use, and she says the commission is doing trainings on it.
Unlike a lot of reporting systems I've seen, they've done a really good job of trying to make sure that everybody is involved and understands.
The settlement money is meant to mainly go toward treating the opioid crisis. I'm Morgan Watkins in Louisville.
Williamson County is fining a wastewater treatment plant after a raw sewage overflow. News Channel 5 reports the sewage spilled out of manholes in a wooded area near the River Rest neighborhood. The waste has contaminated a creek that feeds the Harpeth River. The limestone wastewater treatment plant must pay $1,000 for environmental and cleanup costs. Meanwhile, in Wilson County, several environmental groups are preparing to sue the county's Water and Wastewater Authority for failures of that sewage system. The Southern Environmental Law Center contends that a drip dispersal wastewater system in the Ridgewater Estates subdivision has failed, causing wastewater to flow into people's yards and a stream that leads to Old Hickory Lake. However, the county authorities disagree. They tell the Tennessean that the fluid mentioned in the complaint is actually stormwater. Starting Friday, Nashville musicians can park for free while they're playing gigs at many of the city's venues. Axios reports Metropolis Parking has improved its program for music professionals. Members of the Nashville Musicians Union had already been getting a hefty discount, but now they can park without any fee at the company's 25 lots.
You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org.
At some point, the dream of reaching an audience fades away for most musicians. Nashville's Alex Caress had all but given up on music. Little did he know, passionate fans of a song he wrote when he was 18 years old have been trying to find him for years. Music reporter Justin Barney has the tale that started with a mixtape.
In 2006 or 2007, a high school girl in Spokane, Washington, named Michaela Alden, burned a mixtape she made onto a CD.
It was called Really Good Mix.
That's Michaela.
I had songs by Rainer Maria, Modest Mouse, Built to Spill.
And mysteriously, this song.
We tie ourselves to lies and hope they'll see us through, but we don't know them.
And then 13 years passed. In 2019, she went back to her parents' house. She dusted off an old box, and she found Really Good Mix. Popped it into iTunes, and the info came up for all the songs except for that one.
The track name ended up as No Result, like bracket, no result, end bracket. I'm like, okay, I'll Shazam it. No result. I take it to Reddit.
Nada. So she uploaded the song to YouTube and put out the call, simply saying, please help me identify this band. 2000s alt rock.
Once they post it and ask for help, then it's considered Lost Wave.
This is where the Lost Wave community stepped in. There is a relatively new corner of the internet where a community of sleuths are dedicated to identifying and preserving uncredited music.
As a hobby, it's just very fun trying to find the origins of this song.
One sleuth is Azerblast, who wishes to go by his username and lives on the other side of the world.
For the early 2000s songs, those are usually really challenging cases.
The Lost Wave community titled the song We Tie Ourselves to Lies, or WTOTL.
There's a new mystery song on the internet that people have been attempting to identify for the past 3 years with no success.
Fans made TikTok videos, a subreddit formed, someone started a podcast. A local Spokane musician went through thousands of unidentified CDs looking for this one song. The search lasted 6 years. And then, one night, Azerblast and another user named Chardonic started looking on MySpace, the social media platform of choice in the mid-2000s where artists could upload their songs directly to the website. However, there was a big problem there.
I think 2019, MySpace lost over 50 million of their songs.
They stopped paying for the servers when people moved on. So the songs aren't there, but the bare minimum title and artist info remain. So the two started typing in random lyrics of the song, and they got a match with the line, "Don't Get Over Me."
This was actually quite promising.
The artist was Alex Caress. Azerblast found him on Instagram, sent him a message that said, "Is this you?" and sent a link to the YouTube video.
And I said, "This is absolutely insane. This is me."
I am Alex Caress, the writer of We Tie Ourselves to Lies, a.k.a. Don't Get Over Me.
Don't get over me, I won't get over you, and I don't know where.
Alex uploaded this song to MySpace when he was 18 years old. For the past 20 years, he's lived in Nashville, where he has a career in hospitality.
We went from empty, nowhere, to a promising lead, to the actual answer. Just like that. I was just like shocked.
A lot of the fun of Lost Wave is just solving the mystery. But the community genuinely loves this song.
It has kind of a soaring, like very heartfelt feeling to it.
Caress was working at a grocery store and living with his parents in Boston after high school when he put everything into this song, wondering what would come of his life. Listening to it now, Caress hears his younger self.
So, like, come back to that after, not listening to it in so many years. As someone now who's nearly 40 who can answer these questions is just like, it's this weird cosmic conversation that I've been able to have with that kid.
I can imagine when you're 18 and you're really feeling those emotions.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm going to channel this into a song.
Yeah.
And this song is going to reach somebody.
Mm-hmm. And it never does.
And it never does.
And so you let go of that.
But all the song needed was time.
It's so beautiful. It's so, sung from the heart.
You never know when that thing that you make is going to find its audience. Or if 20 years later, the internet will start a giant search and find you. From Nashville Public Radio, I'm Justin Barney.
That's it for today's episode of the Nash Villager podcast. We do this roundup of Nashville news every weekday, so subscribe in your favorite podcasting app to make sure you never miss an episode. And if you like this, you'll probably enjoy the Nash Villager newsletter too. You'll get perspective from more of my colleagues in Nashville Public Radio and links to the stories we're following. Sign up for those daily emails at WPLN.org/NashVillager. And speaking of colleagues, I'm taking a couple days off, so you're going to hear some of my colleagues in the next couple of episodes. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one, and we'll catch back up soon.